It's close up over now. Is he calling that to you?
They sprayed him.
You're resisting because his eyes hurt.
They sprayed him.
Yeah, that's why you never understood that.
If he heard him, well, he just fucking go with him. He's not done anything wrong.
He's speaking Spanish. That means I need to get out of here now.
Huh? Are they gonna taser him? They're gonna fucking taser him.
Why the fuck are they gonna taser him?
Because he's fighting them.
I know, but his eyes hurt because he sprayed him. Shh. I know, but what's he done now? Stay down a bit.
I don't give a fuck. Stay there, you. Stay there.
Okay. You heard me. You heard me.
Oh, is he alright there? You just need him about several times.
Yeah, I know, pal.
That was it was a little excessive them knees, mate.
What?
It was a bit excessive him kneeing him then.
Yeah, you stood here scrapping with him, no.
Yeah, no, but I seen it.
Mate, just go back in your house, pal.
Yeah, I will do, but I seen them. I seen them.
It's all on camera, mate.
Yeah, good, I've got it too. Excessive that, mate. Three of you had hold of him and he kneed him several times. Yeah, I'm doing it. It's alright, mate, I'm going in. Mate. Right, hang on, mate, I'm going in now, but I'm going to contact you in the morning. Can I just tell you one thing? I've been watching, I don't know what's going on, but the three of them had him up against the wall like that.
You don't know what they're dealing with, do you?
Yeah, I do, I've been watching. Alright, I'll speak to you tomorrow, yeah? I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'll phone you, yeah?
This is your last chance to stand up and walk in. You're going in the back of the van. Come to your feet. I'll come through and I'll back through. You ready? Andre, to your feet. You got any kids? I want to see this, mate. Hold it there.
What? That copper's just kicked fuck out of him. Yeah, I'm just showing who's turned up because I'll speak to them tomorrow, mate. They told me go in, so I'm going in now. None of them want to speak to me, but I'll phone them tomorrow. And I'll report that copper in that first car there. I'll report him tomorrow and none of the others want to speak to me. So I'm out.
Today I'm going to be interviewing Barry Martin. He is the neighbour that caught Andre Moura's death by the police on video camera by his phone. I have spoke to the partner of Andre. She's happy for me to do so, and this interview is going to be concluded because it's a public issue and this is a public matter that needs to be addressed, and the police are state's servants. They are servants of the public and they should not be allowed to conduct operations or conduct the activities that they are doing that leads to somebody else's death. When that is done, this should be made aware and these officers should be facing the law. When they break the law, they should face punishment by the law. And hopefully, these interviews and this case will be the one that changes the history, because not one police officer in the history of the UK law, England and Wales, has ever been prosecuted and successfully charged for the murder or manslaughter of any human being. First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Gail Hadfield Granger. The reason that I'm asking you some questions now is to make a contemporaneous log, which basically just means right here, right now, what you remember at the time.
Yeah.
We're 2 years later, am I right in thinking
coming up
that's
on 2
it?
years, yeah.
Andre Moura, am I pronouncing that name right?
Yeah, correct.
Since he was killed by the police just outside this house.
Yeah.
My partner Anthony Granger was killed by the police in 2012, and this is why I'm coming here to ask you some questions, because I understand the processes that are happening now
Yeah.
and the way that's going to change when it comes to court for Andre Moura's family.
Okay.
So do you want to just give me a little bit about you and how you've come to be sitting in front of me right now
Yeah.
and why?
Basically, on the night Andre Moura lost his life, I witnessed it from the beginning, from seeing the police van pull up. I was basically having a cup of tea in the kitchen. The police had been there several times throughout the day. So we'd seen them several, it was a nice day, you know, everyone was in the gardens, we'd seen them, I'd say 5 times throughout the day they'd been called to Andre Moura's address, which was basically right facing mine.
Yeah.
Obviously some sort of domestic or something they'd spoke to Andre. I think they'd basically telling him to leave the house, which was his house, you know, he lived there, so I don't think he had anywhere to go.
Yeah.
This is why he kept returning. There was obviously domestic with him and his wife, but he kept returning, and then I think, I don't know what the last incident before the one at night time, I don't know where he'd gone or what happened, but I'd obviously gone into the back of my house where I can't see his house and had a cup of tea, and that it was getting late. It was like my last cup of tea was like 11:30, I was getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
And I came through to the front of the house to go upstairs to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And as I do out of habit, I just peeked out my front window to see a police van again. Like I say, it was probably the fifth or sixth time now. So when I went upstairs, I used the toilet, and then I went to the front of the house upstairs to see what was going on. And there was 3 officers again stood with Mr. Moura at his front door, and they was stood talking.
Would this be something you would naturally do, just to... I mean, for me,
Yeah.
I know that I'm a bit of a nosy neighbour.
No, yeah, to be
and if
honest,
something's going on,
no, yeah, the
I'll-
IOPC asked me that in their interviews, and to be honest with you, it's still something I do today.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to meet, it's night time, I'm locking up, I peek out the front window, check
Yeah.
my doors. It's just a locking up thing, I suppose, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I just peeked out and he was there again. So I think I noticed he was there, I used the toilet, and then I went to watch, just as a nosy neighbour. You
Yeah.
know, just as a nosy neighbour, if anything. Now, I think this had happened before with Andre and his missus, where they'd had a domestic, police had been and stuff, and they were stood on the street. This was months before, and he actually run off Andre through like 3 officers, and they just looked at each other as if to say, "There's nothing we can do there. You know, he's gone away," and they got off, and it
Yeah.
ended calmly, and they all made friends. You know, nothing bad happened. So I kind of half expected something comical like that to happen again, and I think that's why I reached for my phone.
Yeah, well, that was going to be
know
my
what I
next
mean?
question.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't actually start filming with the intent of catching any evidence. You know what I mean? I was being more of a nosy neighbour, a
Yeah.
funny video, you know, I suppose that's what you do. And obviously from there, as I watched the 3 officers, they walked down the path as if there was, again, as they'd done through the day, escorting Mr. Moura off his property and telling him to leave the address, basically. It
Yeah.
was,
What time would you say this was about? I
I'd
know
say
you said
we're coming up onto 12 o'clock, so I'd say
Yeah.
this started from me looking out the window going to the toilet from 11:30, and we're coming up to 12 o'clock now as it's unfolding. Yeah, and the 3 officers was walking down the path with Mr. Moura. He was heading down his own path with them, like stood round him.
Was everything calm? Was it okay?
Yeah, it was as if he was leaving. It was as if he was leaving his premises again, but it was like he had a case, but I don't want to go kind of thing, but he was going, he was walking with them.
Amicably?
Yeah, there was no one holding anyone, they was
Okay.
walking together. And then as they come through his gate, the policeman was parked to the right of his address, of his gate, and the 3 officers and Andre went left towards the park, which led me to believe they're still ushering him,
Yeah.
leave the address, you know, get away. He wasn't being arrested. He was basically doing what they've done 4 or 5 times through the day. They was telling him to leave the address because of the domestic, but I don't think he had anywhere to go, and he was basically pleading with them.
Would you say his behaviour was erratic in any way?
No, not at all.
Would you say he was aggressive?
I'd say he was kind of begging,
Okay.
you know, or pleading with him. I've got nowhere to go. I don't want to go. He didn't want to go. That was clear, you know.
Yeah.
And then as they kind of came into the road, which was like way away from the police van, something happened. I couldn't tell you what. I couldn't tell you if he went to run or an officer grabbed his arm, but something happened in that moment for Andre to be on the floor and the 3 officers to be pinning. There wasn't one officer stood. You know, there was all.
Would you say he was face down, face up?
At first, I see he was kind of to the side, and they kept shouting to him as the struggle went on. Stop resisting, stop resisting. You know, I think they threatened to gas him, but when he was resisting in a manner where, do you know, like a toddler would drop his weight to the floor.
Yeah.
You know, he's I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But he wasn't fighting. He wasn't lashing out. He was dropping his weight to the floor. He's a big lad. He was a heavy lad, and he kept dropping his weight. He didn't want to go anywhere. And then I believe he were gassed. It was my son seen it. My son was watching. My younger son.
Can I ask how old's your son?
He's 14.
Okay.
Yeah. And he
14 now.
Yeah, it's 14.
So 12.
In a month actually. He's 13 now. 14 in a month.
So he's about 12-ish at the time.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. So he'd been gassed, and the struggle became from Andre dropping his weight to the floor, I don't want to go with you, to then trying to put his hands to his face because he'd been gassed, while the officers are trying to take his hands to cuff him. And while this is going on, they threatened to gas him again. And he's obviously, he's kind of screaming at this point. He's screaming for his wife, and my wife, my kids. But at the same time, he's not doing what they want him to do.
Would you say, with you doing this reaction there, would you say that is an automatic reaction from what you would expect from somebody being gassed in the face?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest with you, I mean, even in my video, you could probably hear my voice that once he was gassed, I kind of thought the situation would be ending then.
Yeah.
They'd have him cuffed now. He's been gassed. He's get cuffed, goes in the van, and it's over. But it was like far from over. I think there was a second threat to gas him again.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was gassed again on the second attempt, because the three officers dragged him, I'd say, 4 or 5 metres from the middle of the road back towards his gate that he'd walked out of.
Okay.
And then they were struggling, and because he's dropping his weight on the floor, they tried lifting him up onto his own gate post like you would a drunk man, you know, like with a person on either side, how you'd lift a drunk man with no weight up.
Yeah.
And they kind of lifted him like this, and I'm still filming in my bedroom window, and I just kind of pressed the phone against the glass. And even in watching the video, in watching it unfold, that was like a duration of 10 minutes. It was kind of becoming like, I thought, what, he hadn't even done anything wrong. Then I'm thinking, it's a bit extreme, he's been gassed now. And then I think he even actually said on the video, just go with him, Andre. You've not even done anything wrong. There's no, you know, it's escalating, this thing, kind of thing. And then as they dragged him to the post, I witnessed the 2 coppers that lifted him up to the post. The 3rd copper was coming in front of him, and he leaned over his head, and he put several knees to his head. Several blows to his head.
In your personal opinion, would you say that was excessive for the behaviour that Andre was doing?
Yeah, there was no need for it. To be fair, the only way Andre resisted was dropping his weight to the floor. That was the only way he resisted. And I'd say up to the point of Andre getting the knees to the head, I kind of felt like it was excessive. I didn't feel like there was anything I could do, or I felt like maybe this is how things happen, you know, with the police, and you know, we've got to make an arrest. And I was even saying, just go with him. At the point of the knees was when I kind of couldn't watch any further.
Yeah.
And I kind of ran down the stairs. I didn't think run down the stairs. I just kind of found myself on the front. Yeah. Trying to tell the copper, what you're doing, that's excessive. There's 3 of you.
Would you be shocked if I told you that police officers are only allowed to use the amount of force that's proportionate, which means if you punch me, I punch you, because that's an equal kind of thing. If you tickle me and I stab you, that's excessive. Or
well, I was interviewed by
would you say it was disproportionate?
I was interviewed by the IOPC, and I explained to them that in making an arrest, you know, you see it on telly and stuff, you know, lots of programmes. I understand that you might need like a knee to the leg, you know, maybe a tip over to get your weight down, or I understand that the officers need to control, you know, whoever they're dealing with. But I think leading up to the knees, it was excessive, because there was 3 officers, you know, I believe they should have managed, after being gassed, 3 officers should have managed to restrain him. So I believe from that point onwards was excessive, if anything. But on seeing the knees to the head, I think that's what made my stomach turn. Like I said, I didn't plan to run down and challenge him. It was just, I don't know, adrenaline, you know, seeing something.
As a natural, normal person, part of society, you know, I'm going to ask you a couple of personal questions, and this is just for a bit of clarification. Have you ever been arrested yourself?
Yeah, when I was younger.
Would you say you Have you ever been charged,
No,
been
nothing,
to prison,
no,
or
nothing like
anything like that?
Nothing like that.
Would you
nothing
say
serious.
you're an honest person?
Yeah, I like
And
to
what
think
you're
so.
saying is completely true, and you've got no grudges, nothing against police. You're saying things as you saw
No,
them.
to be honest, it's caused a lot for us, to be honest, because my 13-year-old son, he watched it.
Yeah.
He kind of watched the events unfold, and we spoke to the IOPC and everyone involved to protect him because he's actually got autism.
Yeah.
And he watched it unfold, and I've obviously felt bad about that because from it unfolding, we thought it was a bit of nosy neighbour, you know, blues and twos on the street,
Yeah.
and it turned into something far more sinister, you know.
Yeah.
And explaining that to my son who's got autism, that not all police are bad. Do you know that if someone burgled our house, we'd phone the police. Do you know what I mean? That's it, we'd phone. And I suppose he's just good and bad in everyone. It's something we've had to talk to him about.
Yeah.
And he's got his autism and he's 13, but he's also he's going on 35, 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's very knowledgeable, and we've had to keep him in the loop of what's going on. You know, and he obviously seen what the events of the night, and he knows what justice is.
Yeah.
You know, and we're doing our best not to get him into the frame of mind of like all police are bad or all people or this is what happens if you get, you know. So we've had a lot of, me and his mum, a lot of work to do with explaining him and keeping him posted all the way through it. So
whereas children should naturally feel like if there's something wrong, it's the first thing you should do is phone the police.
yeah, of course, that's
If there's stranger danger, you go to
Yeah,
the police and things like that.
Yeah.
Would you say for an arrest of Andre, would you have expected something different?
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
What ideally, as just a normal person, if somebody said to you, somebody's been arrested across the street, how would you expect that to play out? Would you expect somebody to be assaulted?
Yeah, not what we saw that night. It was excess. To be honest, the way I described it to the IOPC, again, this is in my report, it was a warm night like tonight.
Yeah.
The officer had been 5 times, 6 times. To keep telling him to go away, he's not going away. He keeps coming back. I believe the final time, you know, it was late. You know, they was gonna get him in that van, teach him a lesson. He's been back 5 times, you know, and I think they stepped out of what was the duty of care. I think them officers became irritated with him, you know, and you know whether they intentionally meant to kill him, they didn't do the job that night. You know, I believe they worked on a personal level.
How do you think it'd play out if it was the other way around? Let's say Andre was to assault somebody, whether it be police or somebody normal, and that person was to die. What do you think
If it was me that assaulted Andre, then I think I'd be locked up a long time ago, wouldn't I?
And how long did it take the IOPC to come and ask you some questions? Or did the police come first? What happened in the aftermath?
The next morning I woke up, and to be honest, I had a class at Oldham Library, and I wasn't aware that he'd died. And I actually come out of my door. I got up early for this class. I made a cup of tea for me and my wife, and there was an officer stood on the front, and there was tape there, which really should have triggered me, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I think that he died.
It's the last thing you would think.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I actually spoke to the copper that was stood there, the policeman, and I said, I tried playing that, because I actually thought I had a video that I could give to Dre, to Mr. Moura later on in the day and say, you know, these police shouldn't have handled you like that. You've got a case here. I thought I'd speak to him. So I said to the policeman at the front, I said, what happened last night? And he kind of said, I don't know anything. I've just been told to stand here. It's my job to do.
Did you believe him?
Well, I challenged him and I said to him, I know what happened. And I said, your mate's assaulted the lad across the road. And I said, and I've seen it and I filmed it. And as fast as I said that, he pulled his pad out and wanted to talk to me. But I wouldn't talk to him, and I come in the house. And then I left. I just left. I went to my college course. And it wasn't until I come home at like 12:30, 1 o'clock late that day that I knew he died. But I actually I got off the bus on Elm Road, which is like 4 minutes walk over the park.
Yeah.
And I was kind of stomping home because I thought I had this video to give to Andre to say, I've helped you, I've got a video where I'm assaulting you, you know what I mean? Take it to him and get him. I didn't expect him to be dead till
I listened to the video, as I'm sure plenty of other people have done and will do in the coming future.
Yeah.
You did mention on there to the officer that you were filming this, and he replied, "So am I, mate."
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know if the whole incident was filmed? Has that been?
To be honest,
do you believe that they filmed what happened?
To be honest, it's happened. My involvement in the case, it's happened. and then obviously I spoke to that officer in the morning, and then I didn't know who to give my video to. Then I got approached by the IOPC, who explained who they was before I give any evidence over.
Yeah.
And they explained who they was, that they're independent from the police and I didn't know who they was before I met them. So then I was comfortable with dealing with them.
Yeah.
And they basically took statements off us, me and my wife, and I haven't heard anything since. To be fair with you, it's 2 years now. I've probably emailed them every 3 to 6 months saying, can I have an update on this case, you know, I'm a key witness apparently, but I've had no contact whatsoever.
Do you feel like the IOPC have treated you fairly?
Not really, because I seem to say they've made me and my wife key witnesses, and they've said we need to interview you for this, and you know we might need you to come to court, and we don't know anything. We're just kind of like, you're not family, so you don't know. You know, we've not been updated on the case. Basically, I know. Obviously, from the night I ran out, I felt like I ran out because he needed some justice. You know, just on that night there were 3 guys on 1 guy, and it was unfair. You know, and that's why I ran out, and I suppose that's why I'm sat here now to try and see it through. But the IOPC, they've took my reports, they've took my statements, but
the moment you found out that he was dead,
yeah.
Take me through that feeling, the thought, the way that you were told.
To be honest with you, I felt sick because I think even the night before, I was furious, and I put a post on Facebook about how he was foaming at the mouth, and I knew that because the officers had said it. The officers had discussed him foaming at the mouth in front of me. Me and my wife both heard it.
Foaming at the mouth, would you say that's something that's uncommon?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that required medical attention. That's
Do you think the police should have known that's something that required medical attention at that point?
Definitely. Because another thing that we said, he was, when they put him in the van, he was foaming at the mouth. We even heard the lady officer there, we've described in reports, the blonde lady officer, she seemed to call his name, Andre, as if you'd like trying to wake an Andre. They discussed foaming at the mouth, and then they discussed an ambulance. So I and my wife in our garden, which was 200 metres, about 4 to 6 metres away from him. We were concerned for his health. He was foaming at the mouth. He was the way he got dragged around the van, his clothes had come off. So he was naked. He went in the van face down.
Does that seem weird to you?
Well, at this point, I mean, just for me, I'm just adding up what's going on. From the minute I started watching, he's had 3 officers on him. Yeah, and they had a good tussle because they're trying to lift him up and he's trying to drop down. Then he's been gassed. Then he got dragged 4 to 6 metres back to his post. Then he took the knees in the head. Then he was dragged the length of the full length of the back of a police van, where he was dragged in a manner where his clothes come off. You know, so we went into the van. Then we've got, it's actually on the video, he goes into the van, face down, naked, and through all of it, he's screaming, he calls out my name.
That was going to be my next question.
When I shouted the cop, he kept repeating my wife, my kids. He didn't want to leave the premises, he didn't have nowhere to go. You know, and this was, I suppose this is what, it wasn't a case of where his mum lived around the corner or he had a friend he could go to. Yeah. He just didn't want to leave his house. Yeah, and then from that, it was, he called my name, you know, he was desperate, the lad, and then he got dragged round the van. He'd been gassed, he'd been kneed in the head, now he's getting put in the van, and he was very vocal. But once they had the discussion of foaming at the mouth, they had that discussion. Once they had the discussion of, shall we call an ambulance, once the lady officer said Dre, and tried to seem to make him come round to attention, they then shut the doors, and the van remained there for up to 10 minutes while they went back to his house. I believe they knocked on the door for his wife, who didn't answer, and then the officer stood there and made jokes about, oh well, she's the one that's called us and now she's not answering the door, and then the lapse of days he took the time, and there was 10 to 12 minutes with the door shut on the van where Andre was not vocal at all.
And what time did the ambulance turn up?
It didn't. They left here and went straight to the police station, I believe.
So he was in the back of the van after he'd foamed at the mouth?
I was shocked to find out. What shocked me to find out the next day was that the police van's left here and he was pronounced dead at the police station, because me and my wife, who witnessed it, knew that he needed medical attention. He should have been seen by an ambulance here. He should have gone to the hospital, or, you know, what he shouldn't have done is gone in the back of a warm van, naked, gassed and kneed in the head, and just left for 10 minutes, you know. And I really thought more had come from it.
3 officers?
Yeah.
Did one accompany him in the back, or as far as you're aware, or did three get into the front?
No, they shot. To be honest, in the time where Andre was getting dragged around the back of the van, this is like, as them three officers did the kneeing, and I went out with my phone and said, "That's a bit." I tried challenging the officer, said, "That's excessive what you're doing there." As that happened, other cars and vans were pulling up.
But not an ambulance.
No ambulance. And basically, as they pulled up, because they were still dragging Andre across the floor, the new officers that pulled up, one of them stepped out of the van and he immediately shouted to him, "I want to report a crime," as in that officer. But them officers, to my viewing, they didn't have no time for me. They only had concerns for protecting the other officers and controlling that scene, if you like. I was waving my hand saying I've just witnessed the crime, and
can I ask, in your personal opinion, if all the events that was happening, if they were to have phoned an ambulance at the first sign of Andre not being fully compos mentis or fully aware of what was going on, or when he was dropping to the floor, when he was foaming at the mouth or anything like that, if an ambulance had been called, do you feel that would have benefited him, it could have saved his life, or do you think the police were negligent in not getting an ambulance?
I feel like I suppose if the police have got a job to do, you know, and I suppose not everyone, you know, people are going to resist, people are even going to fight back and stuff, but they've still got a job to do, you know. And if he was arrested and he was in their custody, he's also in their duty of care.
Yeah.
And
they have an obligation.
Yeah, and I find it hard. Like I say, I've got no beef or anything like that with the police or any outlook like that. But I think that night it wasn't just an accident, because I was very aware of it in my garden. I was vocal about it in my garden. So to 11 officers, even the new officers, I was vocal about what had happened and that this lad needs, you know, attention. This lad's been hurt. So to shut the doors on him and then just take your time to the police station, I think there's obviously an injustice there.
Do you feel that the officers took you seriously that night?
They didn't speak to me. They didn't want to speak to me because of what I believe, because what I was trying to say, you know, that I was trying to point out another. Basically, I believe the other officers that came to shut down the situation and basically look after each other, because I waved my hand. I said I want to report a crime. The way I saw it was the old police officer, like, as I said, I'd phoned the police.
Yeah.
So if this police officer, these three have stepped out of line and done what they've done, there's new officers here. So as a civilian and doing what I'd do, I tried reporting it to an officer.
Yeah.
You know, and I waved him over and he was dismissive of me. He claimed, even though he just pulled up, he claimed I didn't know what was going on. But he just pulled up, you understand? Then he could see me filming, so he parked the van in my way.
As a civilian,
yeah,
and the police being a public servant, if you've asked a police officer that you want to report a crime or you want to raise your concerns on what's happening, do you think they should have listened to you, the same as they are public servants?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a serious situation that was happening.
Yeah.
Or do you think, because from the video it sounds like he sent you back inside and told you to get away?
Basically, I suppose that's why I started doing it, like I say, because that's who I'd look to, the police. That's who you're phoning it. So I suppose I seen them as individuals that night, where these three officers had done something wrong. I'd filmed them, I'd seen them doing it, and I tried calling them out on it. So when new officers arrived, I seen them as individuals, you know. I tried reporting a crime to the new officers. This had just taken place, but they basically told me I didn't know what was going on and to get in.
Has your opinions on the police changed?
Like I say,
what you used to think before this incident with Andre, to now knowing what you know now and how everything's been dealt with?
See, I suppose it could do if I let it, but we try not to do. Obviously, I told you about my son and things like that, and with everything that's going on in the world, you know, we kind of believe that there's good and bad in everyone. You know, I wouldn't like to sit here and say that all police are bad, but obviously, with what I saw that night, they didn't act like officers at all. You know what I mean? I put that in my report. They wasn't behaving as officers. My opinion of viewing it all was the three officers that initially came and basically had enough of coming. You know, there wasn't no real crime going on. They were just telling the lad to move, and then he came back and then he told him to move again. And I think they were fed up, so they thought this time we're going to nick you. They didn't want to get nicked, and I think basically they just handled him in any manner they wanted, you know, rather than sticking to the law, to the job, to the duty of care.
Yeah, so you've explained this was almost 2 years ago?
Yeah. coming up on 2 years.
Do you think the process so far, everything that's going on, is moving as fast as it probably should do, or do you think it's going a little bit slower than it probably should do?
To be honest, I think we should have answers, especially with the videos.
And have you had any answers?
No, not whatsoever.
Have the IOPC concluded the report and published it yet?
I'm not
2
sure.
years later.
I'm not sure, no.
Has there been news coverage as you would have expected?
No, not at all.
Do you think the public have a right to know what's going on?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think the people that live under the Greater Manchester area police force have the right to hear about things like this?
Yeah, because I suppose, like you say, when you go back to the police thing, again, with what's going on in the world and stuff like that, it's quite easy for anyone to label the police as bad or whatever, but we all need the police, and I suppose that one or 3 or 10 bad officers don't make the police force, you know, but them bad officers, if they're not called out by other officers and so on, then eventually then people aren't going to trust in the police, you know.
Yeah.
That's how it's going on in the world right now, and you can see that it's not just round here, it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah, but when it's so close to something to home, like before it happens, would you always have that thought of it's not something that would ever happen to you? It's not something that you would ever see or witness.
Yeah.
You witnessed a man basically
Yeah.
being killed.
Yeah. To be
from
honest,
start to finish.
Yeah.
So.
To be honest, yeah, it was a tough thing. It's a tough thing to go through, and it's a tough thing now, like I say, to explain to my youngest son, and to put into perspective about justice and things like that. You know.
And as a normal an everyday person, a civilian, a family man, a neighbour, somebody that lives in the Greater Manchester area, what would you like to see happen? What is justice? How do you see justice for the death of a man who was killed by the police in the way that Andre was killed? How would you like to see this play out?
I suppose in the way they acted that night, in my eyes, they didn't act like officers, so they should be treated like I'd be treated if I dragged Andre across the floor, kneed him in the head, gassed him, and the outcome was him to die. If that was to happen, then I suppose they deserve exactly what I get, which I don't think I'd be protected and dragged out and looked after. I don't think I'd just be suspended from my job. You know, I'd be up for manslaughter, murder, or what.
So when a police officer breaks the law, do you think he should be disciplined by his job, like as if you worked at Asda and somebody slipped?
No.
Or if somebody breaks the law, should they be treated by the law?
Yeah, I think she would be treated the same as me. So surely, yeah.
Yeah. So would it shock you to know that there's something we, UK people, Great Britain, and there's something called the rule of law, which states that when somebody commits a crime, regardless of who you are, your status, say you're a civilian, a police officer, a politician, whoever, the rule of law states that everybody should be treated as equally underneath the law.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of justice that you would expect?
Yeah, I suppose it's the kind of same justice if a gas man does a dodgy job in the house, he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Same with an officer, he's still a person, he's still a civilian. He's still a civilian when he takes the uniform off. Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't acting, in my eyes, all 3 of the first officers, even the second lot, they wasn't acting as officers as they should have done. Do you know what I mean? So if a gas man doesn't act as a gas man and the result is someone loses their life, then they go to jail. You know, so I suppose that's what the answer is. But they haven't told us much. They haven't told us nothing. They've kept us out of the loop, basically.
Yeah. So I'm personally, fingers crossed, and I hope justice is done. Through experience, obviously, I'd have a different outlook on where things are done. But with a bit of luck, Andre's killer, whether it have been intentional or unintentional, will face the punishment of the law.
Yeah, as anyone else should.
As anybody else should do, and that's how you would naturally expect.
And I suppose that's why we feel there's an injustice done, because if I would have gone out that night because three drunk guys was attacking Andre, and then it was 3 drunk guys, not 3 officers, but everything would have gone the same.
Yeah.
I believe them guys would be in jail now.
Yeah, they would.
You know, yeah.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
So the purpose of this interview was basically we want to make sure that people understand what happened that night, and to make sure that people are aware of what actually goes on and how people are treated when an officer of the state is involved in a death.
Yeah.